You spend over 40 hours a year and hundreds of dollars just to own a perfect green rectangle. That's more time than most people spend on vacation. Think about that for a second. We're conditioned to believe a pristine lawn is the ultimate sign of success, a non-negotiable part of the American dream in 2026. But what if I told you that perfect lawn is actually a carefully crafted illusion? An artifact of post-war marketing, suburban expansion, and a very specific industry pushing a very specific agenda. This isn't just about curb appeal. It's about a multi-billion-dollar business model deeply entrenched in our culture, dictating what we perceive as beautiful and responsible homeownership. We're going to dig into who benefits, what it costs you beyond the obvious, and why we're all still so obsessed with something that started with English aristocrats and golf courses. For generations, the American lawn has been a symbol of prosperity, of the suburban dream, and frankly, of a lot of hard work. But what if I told you that our obsession with these meticulously manicured patches of green is actually costing us billions, wasting precious resources, and might even be a relic of a bygone era? Consider this. Every year, Americans collectively spend an astonishing $105 billion maintaining their lawns. That's more than the GDP of entire countries like Morocco or Ukraine. And it's not just the money. We pour 9 billion gallons of water per day onto our lawns. That's enough to supply clean drinking water to hundreds of millions. Plus, we dump 80 million pounds of pesticides and fertilizers onto them annually, creating runoff that directly impacts our ecosystems. Now, this isn't some granola-fueled rant about going back to nature. This is about understanding a deeply ingrained cultural practice through a modern lens, especially as environmental concerns and economic pressures reshape our decisions. We're going to pull back the curtain on the unexpected history of the lawn, dive into the fascinating economics driving its persistence, and then explore the innovative solutions emerging for those ready to rethink their patch of green. We'll look at the entrepreneurs building businesses around alternative landscaping, the cities experimenting with new zoning, and even the AI tools beginning to optimize resource management for large-scale landscaping. What makes this story matter now is not just the numbers, but the rising awareness of resource scarcity and the increasingly sophisticated ways we can manage our environments. This isn't just about aesthetics. It's about efficiency, sustainability, and perhaps a quiet revolution in how we define curb appeal. So, where did this all begin? Because believe it or not, the perfectly uniform green lawn is a relatively modern invention, one that speaks volumes about our societal aspirations and the powerful forces that shape them. $40 billion maintaining their lawns, pouring 9 billion gallons of water on them every single day. That's more than the combined daily water usage of New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Think about it. Our lawns are the largest irrigated crop in the United States, covering 63,000 square miles, an area roughly the size of Georgia. We've turned 2% of the entire U.S. landmass into a water-guzzling, chemical-dependent green carpet. And it's not just the water. The chemicals we dump on these perfect patches are a massive problem. Each year, millions of tons of fertilizers and pesticides are applied to residential lawns. These chemicals don't just stay put. They run off into our rivers, lakes, and eventually, our oceans, creating aquatic dead zones and contaminating drinking water sources. Take the Gulf of Mexico, for instance. Agricultural and urban runoff, including from lawns, is a primary driver of its massive hypoxic zone, an area where marine life cannot survive. Then there's the air pollution. Those synthetic nitrogen fertilizers release potent nitrous oxide and methane, both significant greenhouse gases, far more damaging than carbon dioxide. And let's not forget the tools of the trade. Americans consume 17 million gallons of gasoline annually just to power their lawnmowers. A single gas-powered lawnmower operating for 1 hour can produce as much air pollution as 100 cars driving for the same amount of time. It's a vicious cycle of resource consumption and pollution, all for a piece of greenery that started as a European status symbol. That's what we're going to dive into next. How the lawn transitioned from a symbol of aristocracy to a suburban stranglehold. Section Status Symbol to Suburban Stranglehold. The lawn's lineage. Lawns weren't always the default. Their roots trace back to 17th century European aristocracy, a deliberate display of wealth in French and English estates. Imagine Versailles. Vast, open fields, meticulously maintained, signaling that you had so much land and so many laborers you didn't need it for crops or livestock. It was a status symbol, pure and simple. This tradition migrated to the U.S., but it was really post-World War II suburbanization that cemented the lawn's place in the American psyche. The GI Bill, the booming middle class, and the promise of a detached home with a yard, it all created a keeping up with the Joneses phenomenon. Your lawn became a visible sign of your respectability, your success, your belonging. This shift didn't happen in a vacuum. It was powered by a burgeoning industrial complex. Companies like Scott's Miracle-Gro, founded in 1868, saw an enormous market in the post-war suburban boom. In 1948, Scott's launched its first national advertising campaign, selling a vision of the perfect lawn that homeowners could achieve. Briggs & Stratton, whose engines power countless lawnmowers, became a household name. This made lawn care accessible, profitable, and mainstream. But this wasn't just about personal choice. It became a suburban stranglehold. Homeowners associations and municipal ordinances began to codify these aesthetic standards. We're talking about fines, even legal action, for grass that's too long or too brown. For instance, in cities like Cape Coral, Florida, residents can face fines of up to $250 a day for unkempt lawns. A well-maintained lawn became synonymous with civic responsibility, a good citizen aesthetic that added immense peer pressure to conform. What began as an aristocratic flex became an enforced, costly norm, creating a massive market in its wake. In 2022 alone, the U.S. lawn care industry generated a staggering $105 billion in revenue. Think about that for a moment. This isn't just about keeping up appearances. It's a colossal economic engine, fueled by our collective desire for that perfect green carpet. This industry breaks down into massive, interconnected sectors. The chemicals we spray, the equipment we use, and the services we pay for. Take chemical giants like Monsanto, now part of Bayer AG. Their flagship product, Roundup, became a household name and a billion-dollar product, essentially selling us the solution to problems their own marketing often created. They profited immensely from the ideal of a pristine, weed-free lawn, creating a constant demand for their herbicides. Then there's the equipment juggernaut. Companies like Husqvarna, with over $4 billion in net sales in 2023, and Toro, boasting nearly $4.5 billion in fiscal year 2023 revenue, thrive on the continuous need for new mowers, trimmers, and leaf blowers. These aren't one-time purchases. They're investments requiring maintenance, upgrades, and replacements, all part of a planned obsolescence cycle that keeps the revenue flowing. And for those who opt out of the DIY struggle, a vast service economy awaits. Millions of Americans are paying for professional lawn care, supporting a massive network of landscapers and maintenance crews, from local small businesses to national chains like TruGreen, which alone serves over 2.5 million customers annually. The marketing campaigns from these industry leaders relentlessly reinforce the ideal of a lush, green lawn, driving consumer demand and product sales. They're selling more than just turf. They're selling a lifestyle, a perceived status. What this teaches us is that our lawn obsession isn't accidental. It's a meticulously cultivated market. But what if we started to look beyond the blade? What if we began to reclaim our yard's potential for something more? In 2023, a comprehensive study conducted by the National Wildlife Federation, NWF, revealed a striking reality. Converting a mere 10% of a typical tough-grass lawn to native plants can slash residential water usage by an impressive 75% and diminish harmful pesticide runoff by 80%. This isn't just about reducing utility bills. It's about fundamentally re-envisioning your property's ecological potential. Envision a future where your yard transcends the traditional thirsty, chemically dependent monoculture, evolving instead into a vibrant, self-sustaining ecosystem. Consider practical alternatives such as Dutch white clover, resilient moss varieties, or fragrant creeping thyme. These ground covers demand minimal mowing, retain their verdant appeal even during prolonged dry spells, and virtually eliminate the need for synthetic fertilizers and harsh pesticides like glyphosate. Think about the transformative actions of homeowners in communities like Longmont, Colorado. Following years of persistent advocacy, residents, spearheaded by figures like Mary Smith and the Lawns to Legumes group, successfully lobbied their local HOA to amend restrictive covenants, thereby allowing for the creation of biodiverse wildflower meadows and native plant gardens. This shift isn't merely aesthetic, it delivers tangible ecological benefits. These diverse plantings provide critical habitat and essential nectar for imperiled pollinators, including native bees, like the American bumblebee, which has seen a 90% decline in some regions, and monarch butterflies, whose population has plummeted by 84% in the last 2 decades. As a landmark 2017 study from Cornell University underscored, the widespread decline of these crucial species poses a significant threat to agricultural productivity and food security. The burgeoning movement towards xeriscaping, particularly prevalent in arid zones like the southwestern United States, exemplifies this commitment even further. By meticulously selecting drought-tolerant indigenous plants, strategically incorporating permeable surfaces like gravel pathways, and utilizing generous layers of organic mulch, homeowners in cities like Phoenix, Arizona, have reported cutting their outdoor water consumption by an astounding average of 50 to 70%. This represents a deliberate, ecologically informed design choice, transforming a mere patch of dirt into a thriving, water-wise landscape. Your patch, your planet. A powerful call to greener, more responsible living. In 2022, the Environmental Protection Agency reported that residential irrigation accounts for nearly 9 billion gallons of water per day across the U.S. That's a staggering amount, especially when you consider that a significant portion of it goes to maintaining those 63,000 square miles of monoculture we call lawns. While one lawn feels insignificant, the cumulative impact is profound. It's a drain on our water resources, contributes to air pollution from mowers, and decimates local biodiversity. It's time to challenge this aesthetic norm. We've inherited this idea that a vast, green carpet is the pinnacle of curb appeal, a symbol of order and status. But what if our definition of beauty could evolve to include vibrant, thriving ecosystems? What if a yard rich with native plants, buzzing with pollinators, became the new benchmark for a well-maintained property? The benefits extend far beyond just environmental stewardship. Think about the personal economic impact. Converting even a portion of your lawn to native, drought-tolerant plants can dramatically cut your water bills. A 2021 study by the University of California, Davis, found that homeowners who switched to water-wise landscaping saw an average 30 to 50% reduction in their outdoor water use. This isn't just about saving a few bucks, it's about building more resilient, self-sustaining local environments. Start small. Convert a strip along your driveway, or dedicate a corner of your backyard to native species. Advocate for changes in local ordinances that often restrict anything but turf. This isn't just a gardening choice. It's a statement about the future we want to cultivate, literally, in our own backyards. So what does all of this tell us? It's not just about a patch of grass. It's about a deeply ingrained cultural and economic system. We've built an entire industry, billions of dollars strong, around a concept that, for many, is no longer serving its original purpose. The lawn, as we know it, is a 20th century relic, a symbol of conspicuous consumption, now colliding with 21st century environmental realities. Reclaiming your yard from this industrial complex isn't just about saving money or even just water. It's a quiet act of defiance, a vote for biodiversity, and a tangible step towards a more resilient local ecosystem. Consider this. What's one small, specific change you could make to your lawn this week? Have you ever replaced a section of turf with native plants? Or even just let a part of your yard go wild? Share your experience or your plans down in the comments below. For more deep dives into the hidden systems that shape our world, from real estate to AI, make sure to subscribe. And if you're rethinking your outdoor space, You'll want to watch my breakdown of how smart home tech is now integrating with sustainable landscaping solutions next. That video will show you how to automate your green transformation.